What is up, guys? Bet you didn't know where I was going to come from, did ya? Today, we're going to keep on going with the topic. We're going to talk about atheism and why atheism is growing among this generation. Back then, you would not be able to walk in the street and, people would believe in God, people would believe in a God. And today we're going to talk about why atheism is growing and why people think it's okay to not believe in a God. As a child, we get told a lot. We get told about that God exists, that this exists. But as we grow older, we mature, we become these young adults, or we become adults. And you start having these questions about your religion. You start asking, well, why doesn't God accept this? Why doesn't God want this? What does the Bible mean? What does this mean? Why is bad things happening in the world if a God exists? You start having these questions, these fact-based questions, and you get faith-based answers every time you ask these questions, to the point where you just say, you know what? I cannot believe in a God anymore because I keep asking questions and keep getting faith-based answers. And that's the thing about religion. It's all about faith, and religion gets bashed on a lot. It gets bashed because, you have to have faith. You have to have everything. But today we're gonna talk about, why people stop believing in God and whether it's the right God they're believing in or not. And I know you don't know what I mean by that, but we're gonna talk about that today. Today we're gonna talk about science and God. We're gonna talk about. Give me a second, man. I forgot the name of it. Today we're gonna talk about. Today we're going to talk about a God or science God. And that is when science and God hit. See, religion's worst enemy is science. Because science has an answer for how this world was made. It says that, that the world was made by Big Bang Theory, that chemicals are made this way, that this is how evolution works. But if you're a Christian, you say, there is no evolution. God made us how we are, and this is how it is. And there's always going to be answers, and there's always going to be, science and religion are always going to bang heads. But the fact is, this is what somebody once said, and this always crosses my mind when I think about science and religion. Somebody once said that every discovery that mankind makes isn't just a discovery about us. It's a discovery about how God made this universe. Everything that we find about everything, every animal, every species, everything that we find about this earth isn't just how it was made. It was about how God made it. And see, if you're not a religious person, you might be like, man, that's BS. I don't believe in that. But the fact is, like I said, it's faith-based. But, today we're going to talk about a couple of, examples like that, so the next one we're going to talk about is the boyfriend God. And you might be thinking to me, what's a boyfriend God? A boyfriend God is something that your parents made up. It is not a real God. And, by what I mean by not a real God is, as a child, you were taught that, God's going to be there through the good. He's going to be there through everything. He's going to take your hand and walk you through this thing called life. But the fact is, life gets tough. Life, tears you down. It's gonna, break you down. It's gonna have its moments. It's gonna have everything. And if your parents taught you that God will be there for you through everything, through thick and thin, and that He's gonna stop everything from happening, you were taught about the boyfriend God. And if you stop believing in the boyfriend God, good, because that God does not exist. There is no such thing as a God who's gonna stop everything from happening. A God that's gonna be there through every step. Our God loves us, but He intended us to make our own decision. He gave us freedom to make our decisions of how we want life. He did not want us to be, slaves. He didn't want us, He didn't want to play us like His little pawns. He wanted us to make our own path, to decide whether we're going to believe in Him, whether we're not going to believe in Him, whether we eat a sandwich in the morning or we eat a salad. He does not control our life. And if someone taught you about the boyfriend God and said, oh, He's always going to be there, sorry to say it, but they lied to you. Okay, the next God we're going to be talking about here, it's in my notes. We're going to talk about the on-demand God. And see, that is a God who responds to everything. You know, an on-demand God is a God who, answers your prayers every time, who does everything. When someone is sick, when someone is, you need help with something, what do? You pray. But the fact is, every time you pray, people expect for God to do it like that, as to snap his fingers. Like if he says, you're sick, boom, you're healed. Oh, you got into this accident, boom, done, all fixed. But the fact is, like I said before, whoever taught you that God, that on-demand God, was real, lied to you, because that God does not exist. There is no such thing as a God who will, fix everything, who will just automatically give you a perfect life. And there's not much to say about that God, but we're going to go back to the other God. We're going to talk about, this one's the biggest subject, so I'm going to try to get as quick to it as possible. And this is the one I mentioned first. It was the anti-science God. Religion and science bump heads a lot. But the fact is, the fact is science is always going to win. The fact that, when people get sick, take this as an example. When your little kid gets sick or somebody gets sick, where do you go for help? Do you get on your knees and pray to God that he gets better and just, wait? Or do you go to the doctor? Of course, you go to the doctor. You depend on science to make your son or whoever you're taking to the doctor better. And that's the fact. Science is reliable. Religion is unreliable. You do not know how it works. We do not know anything. And see, that's why atheism is growing in this generation. Not because, religion is horrible and everything. It's just that atheism is sounding better. People would rather, become atheists and not have to worry about anything and just, let be. But religion is not the same anymore. Religion is sounding so bad in this generation that atheism is becoming more and more often. And see, in this series, I'm going to be talking about atheism, why it's growing in this generation. I'm going to be talking about why people, become atheism, why religion isn't religion anymore. And, I hope you guys stick around for the next videos. I'm going to try to upload every now and then. Thank you for the subscribers that keep coming back for more, Daily God talking about this. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. But before I go, I have one question for you guys. And that is, where did your view of the God you struggled believing in originate? And I'm not talking about, the God they told you. I'm talking about either one of the gods that your parents taught you, a God that you learned, a God that the church taught you. Where did it all originate from? And I hope you guys enjoy this series. I hope you guys come back and watch more of this series. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Later.